So this is the Music Storm podcast where we discuss music from so many angles, from artists, producers to listeners, but with the main interest with the music industry as a whole. Today we got Ed from Apollo Sons joining me. How are you doing today, Ed?
I'm doing really good. Yeah. Oh my God. Sorry, my partner just came in.
That's
Can
all
we
good.
restart this? Are you going to work? Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
That's all good. That
This is one of those days.
happens.
Um,
I guess
yeah.
it's a busy household today.
Yeah. With everything going on, it's just like the holidays, of course, and then my partner going back to work.
Hi.
Yeah, partner. She works in film, so it's her first day on this new production.
Ooh.
Violent Night. Ooh, it's a doozy.
I have a friend that was in film too. She's a hairdresser in film and everything, so she cuts their hair and everything. So she loves
Oh,
it.
nice.
Yeah, but yeah.
Sorry. So I should be introducing myself, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm. So name's Ed DeRoche. I'm the guitarist, band leader, manager-esque of the 10-piece psychedelic jazz funk band from Winnipeg, Apollo Sons. We've been around since we've been active since 2016. Released our first EP in 2017, and then have toured heavily through Canada. For the last few years, and then we had about 150 US Canadian dates in 2020 that got obviously interrupted. And now we're just kind of navigating the pandemic, and we rebooked about 150 of those dates for 2022 starting in April. So we're just like
fingers crossed and hoping at this
God, right?
Yeah.
We've been in this constant. We had a band meeting last night, and it's like a constant like gut check of like, I hope this happens, and it's like a horrible way to like navigate a business and develop and build and be like, well, fingers crossed. Like, how many years do we have to say fingers crossed?
And the amounts of money that you guys put into it, and then you get canceled, and then you lose money from this, and it's been terrible for you guys probably, and I feel so bad for you guys about this.
It's been pretty it's been tricky because I mean we've definitely invested, not as like a lot of money, yes, but also like a lot of time, resources, and I mean there's been a lot of lemonade being made out of the pandemic, which is great. I mean, we definitely I feel utilized the time, but at this point it's like, okay, so we used 2020 and 2021 to build heavily online while doing as much live and in-person stuff as we could, and recording and doing live streams. But at a certain point, it's like we can't continue doing that over and over again in the live streams. And I'm just over them. Like, I think generally they're just super boring.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, like we did a few and they went really well, but at this point I think musicians are kind of burnt out on live streaming, and the public and listeners are like, we
want to see live music again. That's the thing. Like, even then, I know so many artists that have not done like a live stream show or whatever since until like last year, because everyone did. That was the thing for 2020, I guess, but then 2021 was like, oh yeah, let's start getting back into live music now, which we did for a bit, and then things now shut down again. So it's like, what works, what doesn't, what can we do at this point now, right? Because
it's and I mean, it's getting to the point, like, because it's very hard to monetize live streams, and a lot of work goes into them, because I never wanted to do like, and we never did, the band on a couch with an acoustic guitar and it's like horrible audio, there's no production. Like, we set up in a studio, got lighting, mixed it properly, got a film crew, and did it properly. But that takes a lot of time, logistics, a lot of money. And we made a couple bucks on each of them, had some great presenters, and we got a little bit of funding. But like it's like a sunken cost, and I mean, I think it did build our audience a little bit and also kept some engagement going,
That's
which is
good.
great. Like
Yeah.
we were very fortunate that we had a lot of time to like build our audience, and that's been great. And we've met and connected with a lot of new community, which is great. But at this point, it's like if we can't monetize those live streams to a point like of a live show, which is super hard to do. Besides asking for donations and here's our PayPal link.
Yeah.
Like, it's really tricky to do, and having gone and played live shows again and like even gone to a bunch of other shows that like as an audience member, there's just something so amazing about feeling just the vibrations through your feet and like through your body that I'm like, I was worried at the beginning of the pandemic that everyone was going to be like, we'll never have to play live shows again because live streaming. And then I'm
Yeah, I
like,
was scared too.
immediately once live music came back and I started going to college, just like, oh, right. Like this is human interaction and we respond chemically and emotionally to each other and through like sharing of endorphins and chemical responses and all of our senses. We need that. We are organic beings that react and work with each other. Like, when people are like, I'm going to be a digital entity, I'm like,
That's not
yikes.
gonna work out, right? Because there's even then, like, there's also all these people, all these young individuals in the scene and everything that are starting to come up from live music, and you just kill that from them, and it
Oh,
just
yeah.
sucks. It really sucks that it had
Yeah.
happened, and now we're slowly getting back, but who knows at this point now? It's
Yeah.
just
I knew there would be bumps. Like I knew there would be bumps in the first year of reopening. But this Omicron one is
yeah.
like we actually had to cancel some dates out west. Like we had some nice festival dates planned, but
Yeah.
unfortunately those bit the dust. But we're very hopeful. I'm still extremely optimistic that our April runs starting in April will be
Yeah.
okay. From what I've read and from actual experts and people that are not just like spouting crap, that like this will be a fast wave and a big step towards hopefully the end of this, because like like we all want to really get back to it, and everyone in the band and myself, like we really love the music and we love performing, and I believe in it. I think it's a really positive thing and a great experience that we're doing. But it's like it's super hard to be like, how long can we continue
Yeah.
planning and then
Just
pulling it
canceling.
back, or
Yeah.
yeah.
It's been rough. Like, yeah, you don't
Yeah.
want to cancel any more shows and push it back. Like, I know, what is it? There's break. I don't know if you know, Breakout West is happening. I think next month or
Oh,
something.
yeah, I'm
And
actually a speaker.
oh
I'm a
yeah,
speaker in one of the panels.
nice. And
And we've won a couple of Western Canadian Music Awards.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know
very,
that
very
because
familiar.
yeah, I love your band. So it's like it's
Oh,
cool
thank
that
you.
you guys got to say yes to this. And even then, I've known you for years and everything, but I really hope that Breakout West does happen, just because it's like so many artists awards, and just it's a good
Mhm.
community of musicians just getting together for like a good weekend or two and everything. So it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and we see from the Omnicore variant, I don't know, like it's up in the air. It sucks. It really sucks.
yeah. And the thing is, like, it's and being on that side, all of these festivals and conferences are like having to like you're still promoting it. They're still like, hey, it's coming up in a month, but at any time, we all know that it could be like postponed or canceled again,
Yeah.
and it's like like and it's really stressful, and obviously it's been really hard for everyone involved, um but just to like for anyone who doesn't run a small business or do something in this, there's tons of stress, like I'm like
Yeah.
joking with my friends in our community. It's like, oh, I have like a stomach ulcer for the last like 6 months, because it's like you're working, you're planning, the team is like everyone's getting excited again, and it's like
Nah, nah.
yeah, yeah.
Dang. But
Yeah.
so let's go to the beginning, Ed, from
Mhm.
Apollo Suns, your music career. What got you into music and the start of Apollo Suns, really?
Uh, I mean, I started playing when I was like 15, 15 or no, even a little younger than that. It was like a horrible guitar, like one string on it or two strings, just terrible, super out of tune. But I remember there, I, I think my first sign of like liking music came from this like PlayStation 1 game called Parappa the Rappa. And it's like this play along song game, and it was just like you like created beats, and it was kind of like Guitar Hero, but like without the fucking like stupid guitar thing.
Yeah,
But
with
you
the
pretty much just like
distortions, yeah.
mashed buttons to like match up, and it would like play these dope songs. I was like, oh, this is cool. uh, and then I really, it's funny how video game soundtracks like Final Fantasy 7, Zelda, all these
All the
great
adventure games and
RPGs.
everything, yeah.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
had great
Oh,
soundtracks,
yeah.
and a lot of my first exposures to and my first memories of loving music were that and like skateboarding videos, because like skateboarding videos had like tons of great soundtracks as well from like all over like different genres.
Yeah.
And I would watch those like religiously when I was like 12 to 15 and skateboarding a lot. Yeah, like you watch your favorite skateboarding video, and then you're like, oh, this song's dope, and then you wait to the credits, you write it down, and then you just jump in. Like that's how I got into like Iron Maiden and like the Ramones. Yeah, like
That's
Jamie
awesome.
Thomas and Welcome to Hell, skating to Hallowed Be Thy Name by Iron Maiden. I was like, this is amazing. What is this? And just got super into it. Yeah,
Dang.
yeah. And from there, yeah, I was like skateboarding a lot, and then I got and then I just got super into guitar. I just pretty much just like replaced that. And yeah, and then from there just practiced a lot. And then in when I was 18 or 19 or 20, started my first band, which was horrible. But I met
Everyone's first band is
oh
usually
yeah, totally.
horrible.
Everyone's first band is horrible.
The horror
Especially when you're
stories,
that
man.
age.
The horror
Oh yeah.
stories.
Oh yeah, totally. But yeah, we so so in that first band, or I think the second band, I was playing with this bass player named Dave Gannett, who ended up we played music in different bands for about geez, like 7 or 8 years. And we're in like the band before Apollo Suns was Electric Soul, and that went around for about 4 years. We released an EP and a full album, and then toured a little bit. But that was like the Mistakes band. So I was learning. I was going to Manitoba Music and doing all of these like conferences, not conferences, but like DIY sessions and workshops of like how to book shows, how to book tours, how to social media, how to market, how to do this, that, and the other thing, and like a lot of 101 courses. So that band was great for like making all the wrong choices, playing way too many shows, not knowing how to network or how to build like a buzz. It
It was
was
a
yeah,
startup. It was a startup for Apollo
yeah,
Suns. Yeah,
totally. It was
yeah.
and it was great for that. So then that band broke up, of course. And we had a year, and I call this like the Purgatory Year. And we went under the name uh, Electric Soul Orchestra. And what we would do is the three of us, so Dave, myself, and then our drummer Seth at the time, would just freeform improvise sets, but we would uh, invite for every show different musicians up to join us, from horn players or keyboard players, a flautist, and like different
Yeah.
percussionists. So we would have a different lineup for every year, and then we would just promote the shows as they came up. And we played a few of these, and then we got asked on in like July of 2015 to play the Centennial Concert Hall piano Noble Gallery, which is like the second floor kind of gallery thing. A friend was putting on an art show and they wanted some entertainment. So we pretty much set up in a circle with our gear and just improvised like a 45-minute set. And some people filmed it like on their phones and like sent us. And the crowd response to that, of us instrumentally just coming up with stuff and jamming and seeing how much fun we were having, was so much better than Electric Soul. Like people were just already enthusiastic about this like Purgatory band that Dave and I were like, why don't we just do this? Like, let's stop singing and trying to be the Mars Volta. Let's just do this, get some horn players and build this like instrumental thing where it's like fusion, prog, jazz, funk, and whatever we want, whatever we want it to be. And like, actually, so at that point, personally, I was going through like a really heavy like breakup with like a long-term partner. So after that, it was like everything. It was like a starting point and a new beginning for like everything in my life. Like I found a studio apartment that was super small and cheap, so I could just save a bunch of money and invest into the band. All I did was practice and go out to shows and work. And just like woodshed, and then we just like rehearsed a lot, and then so everything was like let's just yeah, exactly. And it was like it was just a singular goal. I was like no more messing around. Electric Soul was where I made all my mistakes. No more bullshitting. Let's do this. And as soon as Apollo Suns, even from our first show, the enthusiasm and response was great. And then that number built, and we had more and more people coming out to shows and more people. And then we started adding horn players and musicians and just getting better at just, being more honest, like when you're, I find that I found personally, like in my 20s, I was just dicking around and like just doing whatever, partying way too much and like, but like also playing a lot and like getting experience, but not really being honest with like what you really need to do to build a business and build a band and develop. And it's a lot of work and it's a ton of sacrifice. I didn't see my friends nearly as much as I would have loved to from the point of being 26 till present, because it was like, what do I need to do? Is it better to go out and party for a night, or should I be doing research and sending emails and shutting and writing and making my database of every venue across Canada and all this? So like, and putting all these systems in place. So that's kind of how it started. And then once I kind of like, I don't know, I'm a pretty like obsessed, determined, ambitious person. So once I put my mind on something, it's like everything else becomes, for better or for worse, to the dismay of my partner and family. Once I get this blinders on, everything else is like, it'll take care of itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you had a set plan going in motion and how you were building it up and everything. Like, there's a lot of new bands in the Winnipeg scene really does not know what probably you've done all as well, just like trying to get those venues, get those connections, and they still don't. Even some of these young artists that are about as well, their 20s, they still don't know what to do in this day and age with music. And you've been in the scene for so long, and I know that. And I'm like, it's awesome that you know this stuff, and it just amazes me how much you know so much in the scene and just in general the Winnipeg scene, the Manitoba music scene, and just like I love it.
Yeah. I mean, it's been like a lot of like just hustling and like I didn't know what I didn't know until I knew. And that's how anyone is, like you got to go out and
you got to do something about it. That's the thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I went to every workshop and seminar and met everyone, and for better for worse, and you go and you find your people. So now it's interesting because like now I'm at the age, and Apollo Suns is like, we've been around for 5 years, and now we're starting to go internationally and like into the US and the UK, and we have like a full team and a label, and now it's like people are like, oh, you're successful now, and it came and like and but because they've only been a fan or known of us for a year, they think it's like that, like people, when people see like, oh, it's a lot of luck, and there's like, oh, this band came out of nowhere. No band comes out of nowhere, like, or no business even, like, people don't.
Yeah, you have to like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people don't pay attention to the grind years usually. We definitely have our fans from day one, and they're still coming, and they're still supportive, and we keep a really like close relationship with them. But there's a lot of new people that, like, who don't know the backstory, or the 10 years of grinding, and like the 10 years of no's and rejections, and now it's like, now things are starting to build, and that critical mass is starting to build, where like it starts, in especially in Canada, where we've done a ton of work, it's starting to propel itself a little bit more, which is very exciting, but also a whole new dynamic of like, a whole new work dynamic and responsibilities and accountability, and just like, just keeping everything together,
Yeah, like it. Yeah, I totally understand that on so many levels and aspects of that. But going back on what you said with your jam sessions and everything, how much of your songs are actually that you've released are improvised? Is it all of them, or is it just from band practices that you guys just like, yeah, this is the next song that we're gonna release and everything here?
We haven't improvised a full song in quite a while, actually. Now like there's a lot of improvisation in our music, and especially when we're like conceptualizing or kind of jamming in like the rehearsal space, some things do come out of just like a warm-up riff, and then like Dark Knight, for instance, was like a warm-up riff, like the ba da ba da da ba da 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 da. What was Aaron warming up on Barry, and I was like, what is that, like, what is, and he was just riffing on like a Too Many Zoos thing, just like making fun of Too Many Zoos, which we love, like that band is dope, and Moon Hooch as well. But and then we just started jamming on that, and I came up with the chorus melody, like that rehearsal, and then from there we jammed on it a bunch, and then so what kind of happens now, because we're all like, the band is all have jazz majors, and like some of them have compositional majors, so now it's like we kind of jam on stuff and kind of like feel it out, and then once we have an idea of like, oh, this song is going to make it to like it's not going to end up on the cutting room floor, as they say, and then we take it and then do a bunch of arranging on it, do the horn voicings, kind of like, and then like cut the fat, because we are trying to make like, like intentional, like very like developed, but not overproduced or overdeveloped. It's kind of like this fine line. There's certain things that, yeah, and like, like there's been certain songs where I've kind of been like, I feel like we kind of worked on that too much, to a point that it took away that initial raw energy.
I totally understand. There's so many bands that put so much heavy level on production and everything, or there's too much of this certain sound in this that you just gotta lay it back a bit.
Yeah. So I feel like we've been really like, and then we're going in to record a new album in March. We were supposed to be starting the recording on Thursday, but we decided to push it back for obvious reasons. We pushed it back by 2 months. So, but with these new songs, I feel like it's a really good mix of like, now I feel like we've developed the Apollo Sun sound over 3 EPs, and we're kind of shedding our influences. Like obviously they'll be there,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear them, because nothing is ever truly original at this point. You know, like your ideas are just an amalgamation of everything you know and have heard or learned or perceived, right? So, but I feel like now we've refined all of, you know, everything that we've kind of been messing with into a definitive, like, oh, this is what Apollo Suns is, and it's like a little bit of this and a little bit of that and
Yeah.
a sprinkling of that. So but there is some improvisational period, like passages on the new album, and live, especially with horns.
Oh yeah.
Improvising an entire thing with horns and getting everyone on takes a lot of trust and a lot of time and a lot of like hours spent together.
Yeah.
But now with like the more solidified lineup coming out of the pandemic, we're very there's a lot more trust, and on stage we're starting to improvise more and more. So that's fun.
You're hopeful. You're
Which
very
is
hopeful
kind of
for it.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like kind of taking that first kind of like idea of like from the Purgatory Year of like when it was just improvised and it was super raw, and there was a lot of crash and burn moments, but there's also a lot of like really dope, awesome, like
Things came out of it.
really
Yeah.
great moments. So now I think we're like learning like, okay, how can we write and develop a song that is like, because we are trying to be catchy, we are trying to make it fun and interesting for non musically trained people. Like this is one thing that like sometimes with like, okay, like I love jazz and like niche genres and progressive, but I'm like, we try to take all those things we love and like, okay, how can we write something that the common listener who doesn't have theory or won't pick up on certain things will dig, but also heady enough that we're like, oh, this is fun. And we've even had people be like, oh, that was like, they'll like talk theory about a section of one of our songs, and I'm super into that. I think that's cool. But also like having like people who don't know anything about music theory just dig it, and it resonates with them. You know, because it, you know, at the end of the day, it's about being inclusive and like making sure everyone can feel something regardless of who or what or where they are, or you know, whatever, wherever they come from. Like it's just a space that it's just dope music, and it's
Yeah.
for us and it's for you, and you're a part of it, we're a part of it, and we can, you know, it's all about, you know, being together with it.
Yeah. I love that. Like for your new stuff actually. So like is there a plan for like a single dropping soon, or are you just gonna wait until the record's fully done and then you're just gonna start dropping stuff for it?
No, we're gonna be dropping stuff like, you know, obviously with like listening habits now and singles being very prevalent, and I mean, but our demographic loves albums. Like we
Yeah.
sell a lot of albums and we sell a lot of like CDs, and like, you know, people talk about
Vinyl, yeah.
having, yeah, like people talk about having a box of CDs under their bed for like 100 years. That's not us, you know. Like we move them, but we put a lot of time into like the full concept of an album. But we also understand, like, you know, you have to be able to adapt to habits, like consumption habits. So there are songs that were like, okay, this is kind of a single that, you know, or like what is a single anymore? This is like a song that can stand by itself, you know. So we do have a couple that we are planning. Obviously, I wanted to have one released sooner than later, but but we do have a treasure chest full of like tons of live recordings. So we might start just like uploading and releasing live cuts until we can get more studio work out, you know, just to keep feeding that algorithm and keeping Spotify and
Keep
their
people on their
evil
toes, get
empire
you
happy.
listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I
Yeah.
love that. I'm excited for, yeah, live Apollo Suns. I think you guys would do well for that. I think in the Spotify algorithm, I think. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You just
I mean, we've released a few live tracks over
mm,
2021. We did two live tracks, and then no, that's 2020. So we did a couple live tracks, and then in January of 21 we did another live track, and they all went really well. Like we just were like, I mean, okay, so what do we have? What can we release? Like, let's just keep it going. I should talk to the label and kind of set up a couple of releases.
Ooh.
That'd probably be a good idea.
I'm just giving you ideas right now. Let's go.
Perfect. If you could write my marketing plan and like, that'd be
All
great.
right, this is a plan that we're doing on this day, Ed, and then this day. I got you covered, Ed. I got you. So,
thank you.
No problem. What do you suggest to someone that's starting to get into music right now?
Like music or the music business, because they're two very different things.
But I say let's do first with just regular music, not the music business yet, but just
music
and everything.
Yeah. Anyone picking up an instrument, learn as many songs as you can by ear. And just get them and learn and like figure them out and learn every part of the song so that you learn how every piece of the song works together to form a whole, like how the chords relate to the melody and what harmonies, what are the drums and the bass line doing, how much space each instrument is leaving for the other instruments, because it's very important. A lot of new players, myself included, overplay and don't listen. They play more than they listen, you know. So it takes a long time to learn that. And some people never learn that.
It takes so much,
myself included at times. You know, yeah, and play with, you know, if you can, play and jam with people that are way better than you, because it is a language, you know, like, you know, babies learn how to speak English because or speak language, whatever it is, because you're constantly speaking it with them, and they're having a chance to speak with masters who, you know, I've been talking for 32 years now. So, you know, like, and any adult, right? Anyone, Miles, I'm in a meeting, dude. Just give me a second.
That's all good.
It's all good. Yeah. Fucking dad life, dad musician life. Yeah, this is what it is. But yeah, you know, just like, you know, start jamming with as many people as you can who are better than you. And then once you've done that, learn as many instruments as you can. You know, being a guitarist, I'm now learning how to play piano and bass, and it is just very good. And fundamentals, you know, learn rhythms and how time works, you know. Yeah, those are my, because like these are things that I neglected for years and now are having to really shed and focus on fundamentals and like very basic things I practice in my like practice sessions every day, of putting on a metronome and just clapping out different rhythms that I should have been doing 10 years ago. And now, yeah, and now, and
the consequences of you not doing those. Now
I didn't brush my teeth for 10 years musically, and now I'm like, oh god, I've got to scrub the plaque off because I have shitty time, you know. Oh god, I'm so sloppy, my technique is terrible, why didn't I floss? You know.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying with that. But what about the music business side now? How about like getting into that?
Yeah, the music business side. And I think it's really important to kind of set goals as both a musician and individual. And if you're playing with a band, set band goals, and they can be very big and ambitious. I think that's great. And then you kind of work backwards from what are your goals, and talk honestly as a band and as a musician with yourself and with others of what everyone perceives as of success. Some people are just happy being weekend warriors playing in cover bands, and others like myself want to travel the world. I want to play big festivals, sell out big rooms,
stadiums,
and like and I don't ever want to work a day job or do anything that I don't want to do ever again. I don't want to flip eggs anymore at Stella's. Fuck that shit. It's so meaningless and pointless.
No hard
I
feelings
worked there for
towards
10 years,
Stella's,
so
but
I've earned my shit talking of Stella's. But like really be honest with yourself, because the music business is really challenging. It's very competitive, and there is a lot of support, and people are really great. And like a lot of people, when I was coming up, shared their knowledge and advice and contacts, and showed me how to navigate it. But even with that, it's still very hard because and a lot of times I think it's important for people to understand that you can be the most talented person in the world, but without a work ethic and hustling and grinding, you still will most likely not make it. You could have the greatest song, and you need to know how to market it, promote it, get it out there, because millions of songs are uploaded to Spotify a year that could be great, but no one hears them because there is so much out there. So I think it's like, or you got to really sit down, and you can be a musician and play music every day of your life and love music, but that doesn't mean you're going to love the music industry and the business. And personally, I love it. Like I love booking, I love navigating, managing, getting wins, but it's super stressful. And like I've had, for every yes we've gotten, I've gotten 10 no's. And when rejections and all this, and like, not yet. And tons of scream fests, and like throwing, like going into my basement and like, throwing Tupperware and like smashing something, because it's like, when you believe in something and it's just, you get 3 pieces of bad news in a day. It's just,
it overwhelms. It sucks
yeah,
when you
yeah,
get that. Yeah. And nothing
yeah.
goes in your way with the music industry because everything always crumbles fast toward you every single moment that you put your mind to it and put effort into it.
And like some things you can work so hard on, and like a certain show or a tour or whatever, and it could fall apart, or the van breaks down, or the bass player has to fly home, and you have to and your trumpet player, who kind of plays bass, has to take over, which happened to us on a tour. We had to show Fred all the bass lines and rehearse and find a jam space before the first night of tour, because we lost our bass player like 8 hours before, and we're like, oh my god. It worked out great. It was a great tour, but you got to be very resilient and very thick-skinned, and know how to take care of not only like yourself and everyone, but also how to stay healthy, and be how to help like your mental health. And I think that like music, the music industry and business, although it's getting better, does not really talk about the culture of itself, because like it's a until 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Like you play the show and you schmooze with your fans, or like we always stick around, and I shake hands and I talk to every fan. I'll go around the crowd and I'll talk to everyone, and just to make everyone feel that they are appreciated and a part of it. And then it gets to be 3 a.m, and you got to load out, and you got to drive to your hotel or your Airbnb or your floor that you're sleeping on, whatever the case is, and whatever stage you're at. And it doesn't really get talked about. It's starting to now, but how to take care of your body and your mind, because like you gotta stay sharp and to really execute. And you're running, especially on tour, you're running on adrenaline at all times. It's like a hurry up and wait and then be on fire type thing, like even on the downtime, you're still like, especially being the band leader, my gears are turning at all times. And am I doing everything I can right now to make sure that this show is sold out, or this, and
also making sure that your band's all right there mentally and just prepared for
yeah,
the
and
show.
feeling
Like,
good and
it's
checking in with
everything.
them. Like you, like as a band leader, I take on a lot of like, and obviously everyone has their own, and their health and their mental health is their responsibility, but I also feel somewhat accountable and responsible for it as well, which is a learning which is a learning kind of dynamic and a learning experience as well. But I think that, yeah, like I don't know what my overall point was, but just, just making sure that you're taking care of yourself as well. And that includes like sleeping properly, exercising, taking care of your gut, eating well. And like, cause like since I've started getting in now in my 30s, I've started getting way more into my health. And what I've seen is now that I'm exercising regularly and eating well and like making more home cooked meals, eating better, like just better source stuff, and like not eating pizza pops, but just like eating more,
Yeah.
figuring it out,
Yeah.
having better, more fermented food, taking care of your gut. And that has helped my mental health because like there's tons of studies that show like your gut health is entwined with all parts of your body, and taking care of your back is like all these things. Your body is an ecosystem, right? It works with itself. So anyway, if you're going to get into the music industry, understand that it is not here to promote good health, and that is on you. Make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Just
Just
blow
because you have
everything
drink
out the water.
tickets for free at a show doesn't mean you have to drink. you know?
I love that motto that you have there.
What's that?
It's a good motto. Just drink at a show, or just don't drink in general. It's great.
Yeah, it's weird, it's weird to not drink at a show, but
Yeah.
I honestly, I'm like, I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah, like even then, like I'm a photographer. I don't drink at shows because then I know, hey, I have to be wary. Oh, I might mess up the shot now. So it's like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good.
I'm also at work, like that's one thing, like this is my job and
Yeah.
career, and I love it. And then, like I work on it like 8 to 10 hours a day. Like this is, you know I'm there to provide entertainment, and we're there to provide, and you
Your
know
service and everything for
yeah,
these bands or
be
these
professional.
individuals. Yeah, you got to be
Yeah.
professional in your job, and this is your job. And then, yeah, you
Yeah,
just have to.
I've worked with bands, and we've been on festivals where a band isn't professional, and like, and then it's not like inadvertently like the crew is shit talking them, but I've been in a green room where the stage manager comes in, and just offhanded is like, man, that effing band, they went 20 minutes over, and like this person
Yeah,
just vents, and you're like, oh, they're not being hired. And then that person, if someone asks, because the music industry is all about networking and connections, and like and even if you're not friends with someone, you should be professional when you work with them, because everyone talks to everyone. Oh, how was that band when you booked them here? Oh, they were great. Book them, put on a good show, professional, easy to work with. Or they were dicks, they showed up late, they didn't have a stage plot, and then they played over their time. That band's not getting hired again.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I see it all the time from horror stories and also shows, and just from band tour videos and that. It's terrible on how these labels, these promoters, and all these people are just like, yeah, screw the band and that. I'm like, no, like there's stuff going on as well, but also it's just like, yes, you have to be in this time frame. You're supposed to play at this certain time and everything. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah,
And also, like, obviously things go wrong, stuff happens, like we've having toured a bunch, like some things just happen. And as long as you're doing the everything you can in your power to make sure that things are running, and like sometimes you can't help when a flat tire happens in the middle of like rural BC, and you're like, well, we called CAA, we've been in touch with the venue, we'll try to make it there, and
it doesn't,
we're
yeah,
doing everything we can. And people are like, okay, yeah, totally. But there's like a difference, like even if everything goes wrong, and we've had shows where everything goes wrong, no one shows up, and the venue is still like, you worked your butt off, you tried your best, and we would love to work with you again. We'll just make it we'll just figure out what didn't work and just massage those areas. And
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. going off of that, like I know you mentioned that you guys are on a label now and everything. So like
Mhm.
what are your thoughts about artists getting into labels? Like do you suggest like new artists to get into labels or if they shouldn't? Like what is your take on I guess labels in the industry now?
I don't think you need a label to be successful. I think that's like the old school mentality, like the archaic kind of like
Yeah.
you need a manager, you need this, and you need a label. Because you can release music for free now,
Yeah.
generally, like Bandcamp.
Bandcamp
And there are tons of like digital
services. Yeah.
distributors, TuneCore, CD Baby, all those DistroKid. Um, I would never tell a band that they need to be on a label. And I mean, we're 5 years in, and we started working with a label, and it just made sense because I love their roster. They're great working with the musicians. It's very collaborative. It's not a major label. It's like we're gonna work with you, and we're gonna collaborate on like the timelines. We're gonna have we're just gonna work with like, and they're never barking down our throats about like they need this, this, and
Oh,
this.
okay.
Or, no, we're not releasing this song. Like, and we have a lot of discussions about everything that's going on, and they're very artist friendly. And they have a lot of connections in like our scene. Um, but because they're independent, they don't have a ton of money. So there's like a trade off. The
Yeah.
thing about like major labels is that you know um, they're like super predatory. They like they sign you up. The 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 agreements are never great, and they hand you a bunch of money that you think is yours, but really the advance is just an advance. You pay them back, and then they take
Oh wow.
everything. They take a lot of it, and then there's this new thing called 360 deals, where they get cuts of your merch, your tickets, all of this, that, and the other thing. And they've also started tipping the scales on especially Spotify, where labels get paid way more cut of the pie than an independent distributor. So
Ooh.
yeah, so I mean,
Ooh.
yeah, like it's kind of anyway, it's kind of like this tip scale type thing. But anyway, so I do think like there are great labels out there, but
Yeah.
you don't need a label to be a successful artist. There are tons of artists making a living and supporting their families, not on a label.
Yeah, independently. And now we have this new age of stuff like, of course, you probably have not gone into like, TikTok and all these other like new social platforms that are blowing up back to music marketing. Like, yeah, there's so much stuff in musicians' hands now that they could promote their
Mhm.
music in now that they couldn't before, probably in early 2000s days, of course, now. But like, yeah,
Yeah,
there's so much in your fingertips now that you could blow up now.
yeah, everything is, yeah, a lot faster, communications faster, you know, yeah. So you don't need any team. You don't even need, you could literally do it all yourself. But as you start scaling up, like I'm able to book Canada myself, and having now built a ton of connections and a big network, and like having proved ourselves and have a good track record. But we're now going into the US and looking internationally. I can't manage all of those things. So, we brought on a manager, and we looked for one for a couple of years, and we finally found the right person. And we have two agents in the US, and because there's just way more
Yeah,
markets.
yeah. Like even then, like getting promoters and also there's so many venues in the States and there's so many
Oh
cities
yeah.
that you need to figure out what's the right niche for your also like your music. That's the thing because
Yeah.
each state's probably different for music, right? So
Yeah, and it's like there's 340, 330 million people there. So there's just so much more there, and like there's more opportunities, more people to network with. So, moving into the international markets, we scaled up our team, which comes with a whole new set of costs and time management and more meetings and, way more Zoom meetings and all that, just to keep the wheels turning. Yeah, but you can keep it in-house for quite a while and save yourself some money because, you know, every team member costs something, like,
Yeah, everything does. So like, are
mm.
you happy about like music streaming services now, or are you like not for it still, or like what do you think about that,
I
I
think
guess?
music streaming services are great. Like I love
Yeah.
Spotify. Their artist discovery is great. I've personally, as a listener, discovered and found so many bands that I love that I might have most likely never have heard of before
Oh yeah.
from all over the world doing super cool stuff that then influences the music that I make. I love streaming services. What I don't like is the fact that they get to parade around. Spotify says they don't make a profit because when your owner owns half your stocks and you have shareholders, and then you get to say you don't make a profit, but really that's not true because people who are shareholders are making tons of money on Spotify,
Yep.
and then you're going and be like, oh, we're investing these profits back, so you are actually making money, but where it's going to is not profit, because the whole idea of the stock exchange and like economics is bullshit. You like we put our fingers on the scale and we allow these people, like, it's like, and like anyone saying that a multinational conglomerate, because it isn't posting a profit because it's just selling off shares and like, all these things that they manipulate, and then Spotify gets to say that, oh, we're not, we've been in the red these last 8 years. Like, no, that is complete bullshit. That is complete bullshit. Daniel Ek, you are a piece of crap. You like he exploits like he is an exploitive, like predatory, like person, like, you know.
Paul Sons is
Anyway, like,
calling you out there, Spotify CEO.
yeah, watch out. Watch out. We're gonna take you down.
Let's
If
go.
if if all Adele can do is get them to take away the shuffle thing, we have no pull. Like we like the thing is, like, and like millions of Spotify users and artists could take down their music and not use them and they wouldn't even notice. Like,
Yeah.
the only way that Spotify will change what they're doing is if Universal and Sony like were to be like, we're pulling all of our artists off, like bye bye Drake, bye bye Justin Bieber, bye bye Beyonce and all these, Billie Eilish and all these, and taking away. That's the only way that they would change, and the record labels aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
The labels don't care about artists, like,
They don't.
like those major labels, they're, they are not in the music business for music. They're there for business. So
Unless it happened.
having said that, I do love streaming services, but as an artist and a musician, and I would never, they're not consistent revenue streams. Some people do really great, and there is a lot of people that are making a living, like, what is it, like 43,000 people, are artists and musicians and groups are making a living off of Spotify streaming revenue, which is amazing. That's great.
Yeah.
That's super dope. But I would like to see more transparency and like actually like can we just call it for what it is? Like, don't, like, I like, if Spotify, I don't like that they're like, oh, we love music and musicians. Like, you can just say that you're in it for the money. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Don't I hate it when big companies like that say that they're, oh, we're here for you, and people like when TD or Scotia Bank says, oh, we're here for you.
Oh
No,
yeah.
you're not. No,
No.
you're not, and that's okay that you're not. But don't pull that crap. Like, you don't have to pretend that you're here for my retirement, or you're going to take care of me, or you're here to help us. You're not. It's fine. Like, but
I'm gonna
anyway.
outlive you before that happens. Damn it. Yeah.
But you know,
Gee.
like it's anyway, we're getting really political right now. But
Yeah.
but I think it's important to like to talk about as well, like to know what you're dealing with. But yeah, I mean like so streaming, like I would never like don't
Rely on
consider
it.
it a consistent revenue
Yeah.
stream, although it can be great. I mean, you know, we do fine
Yeah.
from it, but we have multiple revenue streams, which I think like diversity is really good. Like back in the day, you can make all your money off touring and album sales, and then as the record industry started to crumble with streaming and illegal downloading and piracy, you have to now find other ways to monetize your skills. You know, like I write grants for people, I do consulting, I help manage other people's bands, and I get paid for that.
Nice.
And then we have other stream as a band, we have other revenue revenue streams. You know, like touring merch tickets, we have crowdfunding stuff, we have a Patreon, we have royalties and streaming. Like we have a ton of, it's about getting as many streams, revenue streams as you can. So don't think of streaming as like some people can,
Some people
um
can. But yeah,
yeah, but
it's yeah, there's so much aspects of streaming, but don't rely on streaming as your number one
yeah,
moneymaker because it's not going to be.
like yeah, like unless you are writing, like some people literally, I know some bands that write Spotify songs. Like I've talked to them and
Yeah.
they literally just write a song that they hope and pray and do everything they can with all the data they have and information to write a Spotify song that it'll just get picked up. And like, and even if you look at songs on TikTok, a TikTok song is just a beat
Yep.
with like
A couple
potentially some
taps.
sort of melody, but they're not really songs. But then those songs go viral. I'm kind of interested to see, and I'm kind of worried that like because our consumption habit has now gone from like a minute video to 30 seconds to 15 seconds. Are we supposed to pack in the hook into a song within the first second? Because like, which is like some songs do that, like pop songs have the hook right there, and then it's just 3 minutes of a hook, but there's not a lot of substance there a lot of the time for me personally. So I'm just kind of interested to see how, but I I
Music will
feel like
change.
even
Yeah.
yeah, but I also think that like there will be those people and those that resonate and like get into that world, but there will always be people that love like the long form, the album, the listening experience, and the live experience. Like some people just want to do live streams and watch Twitch all day, which is cool. I know a lot of people who do not want to do that, and so it's also just about like finding where you fit and where I fit and where and like and then just like
Yeah.
be a part of that community.
Yeah.
you know
Music's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Live
oh no,
music
not at all.
in general, digital music, anything of that sort, people
Oh
say, "Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I
it's
mean,
yeah."
yeah, like to me, like music is like the fundamental force minus stupidity in like the
Yeah.
universe. Like like me, like music is just so insanely powerful, and
Yeah.
everyone has a song or a thing or a tune or something they hum every day throughout. Like I've only met one person who said they didn't like music, and I'm
Really?
like what?
Yeah.
Do
I'm
you not
surprised
have
by
a
that.
soul? What is wrong? Are you okay? Are you what can I do to help you?
Yeah, you need they have to at least like one song. That can't be physically or I can't fathom that. That can't be possible.
That'd be so like you've never tapped your foot,
Yeah?
you know.
Like that I well, Ed, if you could have like listeners and fans remember you about one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Oh man, that's a really
Yeah.
weird question.
Weird question. What do you mean?
About myself.
Well, yourself and the
Um,
band. I don't know.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. I don't think it's important for any of them to remember me, but if you could remember Apollo Suns or check us out, um, that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. I like it.
um, Yeah, please check us out on all of our socials. We'll be touring. We've got tons of music up, lots of videos, all the things to keep your consumption habits very high. Um, yeah, yeah, that's about it.
Okay. What is there any like local music that you've been listening to that you want people to check out at all or no?
Uh Dr. Henry, the new band,
Yeah.
is really great. Really love the band that he's put together. He was our bass player for a tour as well. He was like a
Hmm.
sub. It was really great. But I love his new band. That's good. Uh, Although not my style of music, typically I do like Julian's Daughter. They've got a
Mm.
really fun kind of abstract, but really, yeah, I dig it. Hopscotch Battle Scars, I'm going to give a shout out to. Again, not a grindcore or heavy metal, but I love the band. They're super nice folks, and they're really, yeah, really groovy, really great groove metal as well. Mariachi Ghost is a big favorite of ours. Mahogany Frog, of course. Freddie and the Fire Nation,
Oh yeah.
again, an ex Apollo Suns member doing their own thing, which is great. Um, yeah, I mean, there's tons of great local bands
Yeah.
out there. Um, yeah, there's lots of great bands everywhere.
Yeah. In,
Um,
in every single market there's always great bands.
yeah,
You'll see.